Hello there, everyone. I'm Lillis Fox, and welcome back to Alderwood. Autumn is a time for change and transition, and Renee, one of our starter villagers, decided to mark the season by moving on to new horizons. And I knew exactly who I would be moving in her place. My partner, Sulky Games, and I have an extra switch light that we use mostly for building community events for our Discord server, The Den. Speaking of The Den, if you're interested in joining our cozy and growing community, you can find the link in the description below. But anyway, a few weeks back, I opened up the switch light to work on building our Harvest Festival event, only to find one of my biggest dreamies in the campsite, Marshall, the King of Sulk. I've wanted Marshall since New Leaf, but was never able to find him, and I've never once, in all of my long and many villager hunts in New Horizons, encountered the sweet squirrel. So delighted, I moved him to the island, knowing that I'd move him to Alderwood the moment we had an empty plot. Welcome home, Sulky. With Marshall all settled in, I decided it was time we begin terraforming and building our vision for Alderwood. When I start to build up an island, I always begin with the area between the entrance and resident services. I don't think you have to start building at the entrance, but I do think that starting at one area and building from there is important because it ensures that your island will have a sense of flow by the end. As you build each new area, you'll automatically consider how they connect. For me, creating transitional areas is a lot easier when they happen almost organically. As you've seen, I take my time before starting to build. I play with the game as is for quite a while, getting a feel for the flow and considering what I like about its current setup and what I might want to change. As I play in these early days, I make notes of the ideas and thoughts I have about what I might want to build and where. Still, a lot of my building is trial and error. I don't draw out a detailed map. I build slowly, organically, one section at a time. That said, I do spend a lot of time thinking about my theme and the vibe that I'm trying to achieve. I create mood boards, most often of images from real life or from shows or other games. For me, I think it's important to keep my inspiration outside of Animal Crossing. I love seeing the incredible creations of this community, but when I'm starting to build myself, I find that looking at fully built islands can be overwhelming. So as I've mentioned in previous videos, I want Alderwood to be an old, rustic witch town. It's going to have some built-up town areas, mostly surrounding resident services, with cobblestone streets, shops, some houses, and other community spaces. But I also want the island to have a wild feeling, as if the town has been built on the edge of something strange and natural, something magical. I want the parts of the island that surround the town to be made of deep, winding forests, cliffs, and swamplands. With that in mind, I want the area between the airport and resident services to feel swampy, natural, and a bit eerie. I want visitors to feel like they are in a wild and winding place, grounded only by the cobblestones beneath them, and then feel a sense of relief when they arrive at resident services to find a welcoming but still quite mysterious town. I started by clearing out all of the buildings over a few days. I moved Nook's Cranny, Able Sisters, and the museum to areas that were out of the way. And I cleared out most of the trees and the little pond that we started with. I built up a cliff to the right of the airport because I wanted visitors to feel forced in one direction, through the swamp and toward the town. I also like the idea of them feeling a bit closed in by the cliffs and trees. I love creating natural-looking waterfalls and streams on and around cliffs. For me, the key to waterscaping that appears natural is water that flows in multiple directions, with areas that are thinner and areas that are wider, and all of the corners rounded. I also always try to create little pools for waterfalls to flow into. They don't have to be huge, but I think that having pools below waterfalls helps make everything feel more real. With the cliff out of the way, I began working on the swamp area. I wanted to have some pools of water with bits of land inside that could house trees, rocks, weeds, and other natural elements. When I build ponds or lakes, it's a lot of trial and error, but again, the key to making it look natural is making it look imperfect. You won't find a perfectly circular pond in real life. After I terraform an area, I always sleep on it and look at it with fresh eyes the next day before really decorating. And for some reason, when I woke up to play the next day, I didn't like what I had made in the slightest. It was close to what I had imagined, but it wasn't there yet. I ran around a few times to see if there was something I could just tweak to make me like it better, but ultimately I decided that I wanted to tear it down and start over. So I did. And that's okay. Sometimes when we build things, especially areas that take quite a while to make, like multi-layered cliffs, we find ourselves tied to them as if they're permanent fixtures. When I begin to build an island, I find it so important to resist the urge to keep things in place just because they took time to build. Remain flexible as you terraform. Don't marry yourself to rivers and cliffs and structures that don't bring you joy. If you finish an area, sleep on it, and don't really like it, start again. Remember that there's no rush here. There's no end game. It's just you and what you're building. It's the process, not the final result. We will get there in time. But until we do, it's okay if we take a few wrong turns along the way. In fact, I think that's kind of the whole point. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below. If you'd like to see more episodes in this series, as well as dream tours and so much more, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Take care, friends, and see you soon.